Hey guys, this is Gaijin Hunter. If you haven't been living under a rock, we just had the Title Update 2 showcase from Capcom where they showed off all the goodies that we're going to be getting in just a few days as of recording this video. It's going to be on June 30th, 2025. Of course, as you're seeing on the video here, the highlights of this is Lagia Cruz and a surprise, Sedios being added to the game. Now, I've said before that I thought they were kind of just setting themselves up for failure for the fact that everybody's so hyped for Lagia Cruz, especially because in the West, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, where it was the flagship monster, was really kind of the game where a lot of people got into the franchise. They were kind of hyping the scene up to a point where I didn't think that they could deliver, but just looking at the previews of what we're seeing, it seems like the monster is going to be really fun, dynamic, fast, hard, and they even found a way to sort of do an homage to what made it really special, which was the underwater combat, without actually adding underwater combat. There's going to be some sequence sections of the fight which take place underwater, which you'll be able to see the majestic beast in all of its glory, use your slinger ammo to sort of knock it around and try to avoid its attacks. I think it's a great idea and a good way for them to get their feet wet, so to say, haha, with underwater stuff, because that's one of the things I would love to see them solve for a Master Rank expansion for this game one day. But, you know, that's probably wishful thinking, but, you know, having this now, I'm pretty happy. For those of you who get kind of motion sick from this kind of blur stuff that happens underwater, they are adding an option where you can turn that off. I know that that is a concern for some people. So always good to see those types of accessibility things added. Sedios for me came out of nowhere. I was not expecting it. I thought they would eventually add the monster. I just didn't think it would be coming this fast. Sedios, if you don't know, was the flagship monster for Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, so we're getting two very important monsters, especially in the West, because those were the two titles that really took off before Monster Hunter World, and Sedios is just great. And they of course also updated their roadmap, so obviously Title Update 1 is over, and now we're going to be going into Title Update 2. They got some really cute new icons for Lagia Cruz and Sedios. They'll be adding in the layered weapons option, some other features which we'll go over. Then July 23rd for the few weeks, we'll have the new Festival of Accord, which is going to be really cool. Lots of, you know, special barrel bombs, costumes, a new Diva song, decorated hub, and stuff like that. And then finally at the end of July, we'll get Arc Tempered Ulta, which I'm very much looking forward to, as it's one of my favorite monsters in this game. And then there's going to be a very limited time but special collaboration with Fender, of all things, to get a really rad guitar emote. Then we will have to wait a few months for Title Update 3, which will be coming late September, and which will have at least one additional monster, as noted, and another seasonal event. Okay, so just for the bigger ones before we go into patch notes, like Lagia Cruz and Sedios, the posing they did, the recreation of the iconic scenes, everything is so good that I just have to tip my hat to them. Like, this is really good stuff. Now, of course, with Lagia Cruz being in an older game, it never always had weapons for every weapon type, which is why they showed off this cool image. We're going to get an insect glaive for this monster, which is great. It's kind of been a weird thing, like even in past games, like I think Bloodbath Diablos, even though it's technically a flagship monster, it didn't have a weapon for every weapon type. These are cool to see. The colorings are nice. I can't wait to see what the Lagia Cruz armor looks like when you change the color channels on it. That's probably going to be pretty dope. Here's just two more official screenshots that they released. Again, the underwater looks absolutely amazing, and I hope that they're testing the water here for maybe possibly some underwater combat to come back, because I really enjoyed it in 3 Ultimate, but depending on your weapon, some people didn't. So it would be nice to see if they can solve that. It's like one of the curses of video games. Can you make underwater combat fun? Sedios is a really welcome addition. I'm a little nervous though, because Sedios, if you guys were following me back in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, my Sedios light bowgun set and just using Sedios weapons was one of my favorite things to do. It had a really cool mechanic that if you evaded a few times, it would add sharpness to your weapon, or it would auto-reload your guns. But it was an innate skill, which means that it didn't eat up any other slots. The weapons all looked absolutely amazing from a design standpoint. They had really good raw, good stats. It just had like short white sharpness, so having that innate ability was just super cool. I hope they find a good way to add it where it's not super restrictive, because I know like with the Mizutsune weapons, if you don't use it with the Mizutsune set, it kind of makes it kind of pointless. So hopefully they found a way to make it a little bit more generic and able to be used, because I think that this is a good opportunity for a new raw sharpness winner that can compete with Ardian weapons. Can't wait to play this with the high texture setting on. This one I didn't see coming. I mean, I know that they've done Rathalos guitars and like electric guitars before in the past, but this is going to be a free thing. There's going to be like an event quest that we can do and we can earn this emote, so make sure you grab it once it's up. I think it's going to be fun. Love this outfit of the Caravaneer, but I'm really hoping that they just forgot to add the hat because it's such an iconic part of the outfit. Hopefully that will be an option. Our Tempered Ulta. I was really hoping that this would come with the update or festival, but I guess it gives us something to look forward to. But this will be coming at the end of July. But this is one of the monsters that I felt, you know, has the ability to really shine if they amp the difficulty of it. So really hoping to see them push this one to the max. And of course it will have some new armor that you can craft, so interested to see what the effects are on the set. I love that right now the contrast and just the vibrancy of these Arc Tempered are like dialed to the max. So very interested to see what they're going to be doing with the rest of the monsters. Honestly, the photo mode additions are fine, but I've always found the UI of the photo mode to be really hard to use. I'm constantly mispressing a button or doing something wrong. Things are disappearing, so unless they fix the UI, I don't think I'll be touching this much. But for those of you who are really good at using it and stopping and taking pics, I'm sure this is going to be a welcome addition. There's also going to be some cosmetic stuff, like some is free, some is not. I'm not horribly interested in trying to figure out which is which, but just know that new options are coming. And of course, Eric as the handler. I'm not an Eric fan, but I'm sure that there are people out there that are. Or if you're just, you know, you've been hanging out with Alma for months now and you just want to change a pace. This is going to be a nice little option to do that. There's going to be a bunch of really fun new event quests and different types of gears and pendants and stuff we can earn. New arena challenge quests. I think this one is against Mizutsune. We'll see how well their new system for auto-detecting fraudulent clear times is going to work. I always, man, I love that they're not giving up and they're trying, but we'll see how they can battle that. Looks like we have a bunch of new fishing lures that you can earn, which is nice. These are the pop-up option temp stuff from the event. Now, one interesting thing is I almost never use the pop-up tents because, one, they get broken all the time. They do mention in the patch notes when we go through it that they're adjusting the frequency in which monsters spot your camps and destroy them. So hopefully that'll make them a lot more useful, and especially now that we'll have item boxes outside that we can set there, that could be very useful. And just some nice pictures of the hub. The last festival was really great. I loved the new Diva song, all the different decorations, the barrel bombs, all that kind of stuff. So can't wait for this one. I think they knocked it out of the park last time, and I'm just, you know, excited to see what they can do. And finally, here's just some shots that they had of the new emotes that they're adding. Again, I know some of them are part of the cosmetic DLC pack, some of them are part of like paid DLC, and I just don't have the time and effort to go through and figure out what's what. So hopefully they gave us a bunch of good options for the free path. Very interested to see these come in. I always find these really fun. So outside of that stuff, they did release a website, which I'll put in the description of the video, which has full patch notes. And there's a lot of different changes and tweaks, and especially to some of the weapons, some really exciting changes. But I'm going to just cover sort of the highlights from there. I don't want to go through all of them. I actually recorded a video of it. It was like 40 minutes, and I was like, yeah, I wouldn't listen to this. So I decided to scrap that idea, but here is sort of an overview of the more larger points. So outside the stuff that I just mentioned, they do have in the notes that the beta sets are going to be added to layered armor. Any alpha sets that you've already crafted, you'll automatically get the beta version. I imagine this is just to make it a little bit easier to collect layered armor. Weapon transmog is going to be available. It's not just for the Ardian weapons, thank GOG. It's going to be for any fully upgraded weapon from the weapon tree, Ardian Rarity 8 weapons, and Palico high rank weapons. They're adding the ability now to choose support hunters. So if you want to sort of deck out the team that's going to come when you pop your SOS, you can do that. And to help balance it off, they're going to be adding Mina, who is a new sword and shield user, into the mix. And I don't know why they're limiting it just to the seasonal event, but during the seasonal event, you will be able to select Fabius, the main guy from the story, the Lance user, as a support hunter. They'll be littering more item boxes outside your tents in all the different areas in the Grand Hub, even adding additional outdoor item box options for your pop-up camps, which is really great since we do use those things a lot. You'll be able to change your handler from Alma to Eric, both for out on the field and also at camp. This is something that will unlock once you finish the Lagia Cruz mission, so it won't be available from the very start of the game, but all you Eric lovers, you'll finally get him, so that'll be interesting to see what types of new dialogue they recorded for him, possibly for this. I was really hoping that they would take a moment in the showcase to really talk about optimization. I'm one of the lucky people, like the game runs really good on my PC, but I know that's not the case for a lot of people. Obviously, just go to the Steam reviews and you'll see, obviously, there's a lot of people who it's not, unfortunately, running well for. That being said, in the notes, they did mention that right now the VRAM is actually miscalculating. It's underestimating the amount of VRAM that the game is going to be using. So that might be one of the reasons for some of the issues. I don't think this is like the golden bullet that's just going to solve everything, but it's something. So not only are they going to be fixing that, but they're also reducing the amount of texture streaming VRAM used overall. So even though the calculations will sort of fix and they would technically go up from what they were, because of the reduction, they're not going to be changing any of the minimum or recommended specs or anything like that. So hopefully, you know, improved VRAM texture streaming will help, I hope. They also mentioned that the DLSS4 and FSR4 support for upscaling will be added. Again, not quite the response I was hoping for, but you know, with all the different bug fixes and improvements that they're making and texture streaming, we'll just have to wait and see. It's only going to be a few days until we find out, but I'm really hoping, and my fingers are crossed, that this will get us one step closer to a more stable version of the game so that everybody can enjoy it. And finally, there's just a bucket list of some other stuff that they're doing that I thought is worth noting, which is going to be they're adding in ammo pouch restocking automatically when you select an item loadout, so that's really good for gunners. Stuff like take all options from Nada's material retrieval, adding a remove all decorations button when you're fixing out your set loadouts, adding in some new photo mode stuff, although I really hope that they improve the UI for that stuff. Excluding the arena from your guild card weapon usage, because they know that a lot of people like to keep their, weapon usage cards clean, especially if they're dedicated to a single weapon. The ability to turn off that health warning HUD thing where like your health bar goes crazy. If it distracts you, you can turn that off now. Interesting enough, an option to display support hunter damage. If you are HR 100 or higher, the support hunters will actually become more powerful, which is interesting, so they're going to make them more useful. There was also a bunch of different notes for all the different weapons and different changes. I think the ones that really caught my eye was Sword and Shield getting a slight nerf to its guard slash like infinite perfect guard combo, which everyone saw coming, so I'm not even mad. But they are buffing like the shield attack, bash, and hard bash raw damage and stun values, which I'm very happy about. Dual Blades is getting a bunch of different tweaks to make it stronger appear. Longsword's getting some buffs. I can hear Rurikon screaming from Portugal about it doesn't need more buffs. Hammer obviously is getting tons of buffs. And also seems like it's going to be like the king of offset attacks, which I think is exactly what the hammer should be. A bunch of tweaks to Hunting Horn, some to Lance, Switch Axe, and then the last one that I'll mention here is Charge Blade. There's a bunch of notes on it, but the one that really caught my eye was that guard points will now have perfect guard detection, and you can now chain into Savage Axe slash upon successful perfect guard from a guard point. That's huge. Like, this has a huge potential to change how the weapon is handled and used. I think it's a great change, and I'm very excited to see how that goes when we get our hands on it. Anyways, those are sort of the overall highlights, but do check out the link in the description below for full patch notes. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this recap and my general thoughts about all the stuff that's coming. I think it looks great. Really nervous for them, and I'm hoping for better PC optimization. Capcom, you still have not added or committed to adding a silence option for the wedge beetles, and I'm really hoping you can do that one day. But that's going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you're looking forward to Title Update 2, and until next time, happy hunting.